On the top 3 meta ads TPT sellers should use to get more sales. I didn't talk a lot about the benefits of using Facebook ads here. I'm more just like getting right into it, like the nitty gritty. Like these are the types of ads, and this is how you would create them, set them up. These are my thoughts on them. I'm Nicole. I'm a Facebook and Instagram ad strategist. As I said, I'm a former teacher. I've taught kindergarten, first, second, and third grade. I'm a mom of 2. I enjoy running, reality TV, traveling. Diving right in, I wanted to touch on some Facebook ad basics first, because a lot of times I'll get going on these and there will be some things that people will be asking, and feel free to drop questions in the chat whenever. I also obviously have time at the end, but they'll ask and I will just realize I didn't say that because it's some things that I just assume people know at this point after doing ads for 3 years. So I always call them Facebook ads, and a lot of people call them Facebook ads, but technically they're called meta ads because Facebook and Instagram ads are all run from the same place, the Meta Ads Manager. So I'm always talking about Facebook ads this, Facebook ads that, and people are like, okay, but I don't want Facebook ads. I want to do Instagram ads. And I'm like, oh, they're the same thing. You're running them from the same place. When you set them up in the ads manager, they will automatically be served on people's news feeds on Facebook and Instagram, unless you specifically go in and change those settings. So just know that it means both. Another big question I always get is budget. How does the budget work? How does the spending work? When you set a budget, you have to put in a daily budget, and the minimum you can spend is $1 a day on that budget. And then it's just a matter of turning the ad on, turning it off if you wanted to stop spending that money. And what you're actually paying for is to get on news feeds, right? To show up on people, for your ad to show up on people's feeds. So sometimes with different types of ads like Google ads or YouTube ads, like you will only pay if someone were to click. Or on YouTube, it's like you will only pay if someone were to actually watch a part of your ad. Well, with Facebook, like no one needs to click, no one needs to like watch a video, nothing like that. Like if you simply show up on a news feed, you're paying for that, if that makes sense. So that's why a lot of times we'll hear things like Facebook ads don't work and stuff like that, because if you're not setting it up just right, you're automatically going to pay to get views, but you might not end up getting the actual goal that you want if it's not set up correctly. So that leads me to point number 3. So that Facebook ads use a special algorithm and pretty in-depth tracking. So there is something called the Facebook pixel. This is a piece of code, and it always sounds so complicated when I explain it out loud, but it's really not if you were to go in and set it up yourself. It's a piece of code that you copy from Facebook. They'll give you the code and you paste it on the back end of your website or like your email software that you use. And this will track people that land on your website. And they're tracking people on all sorts of websites that have the pixel. So if you think about the big brands, like if you're shopping online for Old Navy clothes or something like that, like you're likely being tracked by the pixel. There's now more laws and rules about who can be tracked, and you need to accept the cookies and things like that. So it happens less now, but the idea of it was that it's tracking behavior, and they have a ton of data just built up from even before these laws went into place. Excuse me. So TpT, you're able to put your pixel there as well. So like they can track when people are shopping on TpT. And then if you're running ads and you have like a Teachers Pay Teachers URL and your ad, that person is likely to be targeted with your ad because they were just tracked for being on Teachers Pay Teachers. So basically, not only does it track the people, but it also has a very complicated and in-depth algorithm when it comes to gauging someone's behavior. So they are able to tell, or they think that they can tell, the likelihood of somebody taking a very specific action on your ad. So that's why I always like to talk about ad objectives first when it comes to setting up an ad, because this is the most important part of every ad campaign that you create. And it's a part that a lot of people overlook. Facebook takes what you choose here very literally. And that's why we need to get strategic. So they're able to think, okay, this person is likely to become a lead or to give you their name and email in exchange for something free. But this person's more like not really likely to do that, but they are more likely to buy something. So a lot of times who your ads are going to be served to are very indicative of what you choose here. And if you're choosing, this pretty much goes in order of like cheapest to most expensive, because it's the more that we're asking from somebody, the more expensive it's going to get, because one, it's a bigger ask, so less people are going to do it, but also there's more competition in the ones down here. So if you're just running an awareness ad, you choose the awareness objective, you're going to get in front of a lot of people for very affordable. But if you have a link on your ad or you're wanting people to opt in to your email list, just because you're getting in front of those people doesn't mean you're going to get leads, or it doesn't mean you're going to get sales if you're sending people to your TpT store or what have you. You're likely not going to get any. You will just get awareness, because they're only going to target people who are going to look at your ad and not do anything else. Like I said, they take this very literally. Same thing with the traffic ad. A lot of times people will set up an ad where they want to build their email list and they will choose the traffic objective. They will get tons of clicks, but not many leads. Because Facebook is able to tell who's actually going to become a lead, who's going to just click, which is just wild. I can't explain it more than how I have. I've tried. I'm like, I don't know. You have to just trust me, because I have tested this far and wide. When you run a traffic ad, you'll get so many clicks, but you won't get anyone taking action. When you run a lead ad, you'll get less clicks, but you'll get more leads, because you're actually targeting people who are likely to become a lead. Okay. So that's super important when you're going to set up your campaigns, is the objective you choose. This will make or break like your ad results. So I always like to touch on that before I go into the specific types of ads. So these are my three go-tos. There's a traffic ad to either a blog post or your Instagram page. So it works for if you have a blog or if you don't have a blog, or if you use Instagram or don't have an Instagram. You'd have to have one or the other that is up to date. Also, list building ads. So growing your email list. You can do so for quite affordable when you have it set up right. And then also sales retargeting ads. So I'm going to talk about what these look like, what goes into them. And then I have just a couple reflections at the very end. One of them is, if you were to run all three of these together, you would have like a really good powerhouse like ad strategy that's kind of bringing in new people and converting them to your email list and then selling to them and kind of cycling through there. But you don't have to do all three if you wanted to just kind of start dabbling, right? You could just do one of these. Likely not. You might not be able to do the sales retargeting if you're not doing one of these first two, and I'll explain why in a minute. You might just not have a big enough audience. So let's talk about each of them. I have an example of what an ad like this could look like, and then just some points that I want to make sure I touch on. So starting with the traffic to a blog post or an Instagram page. The point of doing this, of course, the Instagram page is to grow your audience there and get more Instagram followers. But the point of the blog post is twofold. One, when somebody goes to your blog post, you will have that Facebook pixel that I talked about before installed on your page, and then it will track that person. And then later, when we go to retarget or when we're running ads again, they will see your ads again because they've been tracked as somebody who's interested in what you do. So a lot of times you would want to run these to a blog post that sells a product, or if you're doing it to your Instagram, you want to make sure that you have some pinned posts at the top of your Instagram with easy ways to like opt in to a freebie or to buy a product. Because a lot of times that's the first place people are looking. They might look at your bio and then they're going to look at those top 3 posts. They might click on them, binge them. If they see a product that they like and they have an easy way to buy it, they can do so this way and they're sent to you from the ad. So with this one, you would use the traffic objective. You would need to make sure you have the pixel tracking on your blog if you go the blog route. When you set up your objective, the next step is you have to tell them, where do you want to send people from this ad? It's called the conversion location. So your conversion is the goal that you're asking for. Like if you're asking for a lead, then getting a lead would be getting a conversion. So where do you want that to happen? Do you want it to happen on your Instagram page or do you want it to happen on your web page? This is just a breakdown so that it gave options for you in case you don't have a blog that you keep up to date or you don't have an Instagram page that you keep up to date. You can do it either way. So you would choose your conversion location, web page if you're going to a blog, or an Instagram page if you're going to your Instagram. And then for targeting, this is one of those things where you have to just test different things. Right now, what we're seeing in the Facebook ads land is that detailed targeting is actually working less effectively than simply not putting in interests at all. And this used to be like the biggest selling point of Facebook ads is the targeting options. And what's happening is that one, Facebook's taking away targeting options because as time goes on, the government is cracking down on tracking capabilities. So I think Facebook's just anticipating that they're going to be able to track less and less. And what they can always track no matter what is behavior on Facebook. So like if you're engaging with certain types of pages on Facebook and Instagram, that will give them data on you. But off of Facebook, they're losing it. So what they're doing is they're just building an algorithm based on behavior that's happening on the platform and what they can track off. And they are able to target your right person without you putting in any information about who you want to target. They can read the copy of your ad, they can read the text on your ad or on your video. And they can just like find the right people. So a lot of times not putting in any targeting options works well. If you've never run ads before, I usually don't recommend starting with that because what will happen is as you run more and more ads, your pixel is more what we call seasoned, meaning it's just getting smarter and smarter about who your right person is, and your ad account's just learning as you go. So a lot of times if you're brand new to ads, you've never done them before, I do say put in a targeting option. But if you've run them before, and you want to try something new, I would test taking it out and see what happens with the costs of your ads. Excuse me. There's a teachers pay teachers interest that works well because it goes for people who have shopped on teachers pay teachers. I usually pair it with another one's called We Are Teachers. It's a website. Just because the audience size of teachers pay teachers is a little bit small, I am going for close to 1 million if possible. Because if you have a really small audience size, you just can't run the ad for super long because it'll get shown to everybody inside the audience and then you're still spending money, but just to show the same ad to the same person over and over again. So we want to make sure our audience size is close to 1 million. It's okay if it's a little bit lower. So like they do have certain grade levels in there and things like that, but a lot of times those are just too small. Like they're just not able to create those audience sizes anymore because of their lack of tracking capabilities. So we just keep it broad. Teachers pay teachers, We Are Teachers, teacher job titles, things like that. And you always just have to test. A lot of times, one will work great in one case, it might not work great in another. And you just have to try different ones and see which one's going to get you the cheapest of whatever you're looking for. So in this case, we're looking for link clicks to our blog or link clicks to our Instagram page. Or when you're running it to your Instagram page, you're going to look at how many new followers you're getting too. Maybe one audience is getting you a lot of clicks, but they're not converting into new followers. So you try another audience and it's getting you the same amount of clicks, but actually getting you new followers. So you would want to go with that one, right? You can run this for $1 to $2 a day because you're going to get link clicks for 10 cents, you know? So if you ran it at $1 a day, you could get 10 clicks a day. If you ran it at $2 a day, you could get 20 clicks a day, so on and so forth. This one just looks like you're just going to want some short copy, a catchy hook because you can only see 2 lines of an ad before clicking see more. So you want to usually like call out your audience, which we're not doing in this ad, but call out your audience so it stops them in their tracks. Say something that they can relate to. And then if they're interested, they can click see more to read the rest. And this is where you can talk about the value that you provide on your Instagram page or on your blog post, why they should read it, why they should go to your page. And then for creatives, I'm like, I always hate doing this because especially with a lot of teachers or type A teachers, they want like a very specific answer. I always get asked, what's the best? Do we use a photo? Do we use a reel? Do we use a graphic? And I have no best answer for that. So every ad or every page I was creating to talk about the different components of each ad, I have this same note: test. Yeah, you got to test, you got to try. Like in this case, we just used a cover photo from her blog and that did great. You can try just doing a standard photo. You can try a reel that just kind of showcases, you know, who you are, what you do. If you're sending to your Instagram page, that is. You have to just try different ones that you think, okay, would someone in my audience be interested in this? Would they stop their scroll if they're scrolling along and see this and think that I could help them? So that is the traffic ad to a blog or an Instagram page. That's the first one that I recommend you can get started with because you can do it for so cheap and you can start building up more of an audience. The second one is the list building ads. So here, you do have to have some tracking set up again, the pixel, and then you also have to have something called standard event tracking setup, which just means Facebook needs to know when someone becomes a lead or when they opt in for your freebie. So they just need to know, usually it involves just setting it up. It depends on your email software. Like if you use MailChimp, you just need to put in your ID number and then MailChimp's going to tell Facebook when someone becomes a lead. And why this is important is because they need to be able to track if your ad is working or not. Because if it's working and you're getting a lot of leads, they're going to keep doing what they do. They're going to keep finding those types of people. If they're not, they're going to try a new pocket of people. So you'll have to have the right tracking set up for this to work. This one I recommend a little bit bigger of a budget, $5 to $10 a day. That's just, and it all just comes down to your lead costs and how many people you would like to add to your list every day. Anytime I've worked with Teachers Pay Teachers clients and run list building ads for them, they get leads for the cheapest I have ever seen in my life. 30 cents, 50 cents, $1, which is very, very affordable way to grow your list compared to a lot of other businesses that I work with that spend 10, 20, 30, $50 for one person to join their list. So it's because it's not super competitive and teachers like free stuff. So they are opting in a lot. So this is a good one. You can still spend $5 a day. It all just comes down to the cost and how fast you want to grow, right? Glowdesk, that's a good question. The integration with the Pixel, they didn't at one point, but I feel like they might now. It's something you could like type into Google or YouTube and you can say, Flowdesk and Facebook Pixel, and then like all these softwares will have an article about how to integrate yours. And it's usually as simple as copy and pasting a number. But I worked with a Flowdesk client like probably a year and a half ago, and I remember they didn't have it and I had to do some workarounds. But I feel like they got with the times and added it. So for this one, you would use the lead objective, like I talked about. You'd have to make sure your lead tracking is set up, like I said. In the ad manager, it's going to ask again, what's your conversion location? Because there's so many different types of lead ads you can run on Facebook. Some people are running them and just sending people to Messenger. Some people are creating a form that just pops up on Facebook. So for you, you would want to send them to the landing page of your opt-in. So conversion location is going to be web page. Again, you'll just have to test your targeting options and test your creatives. And then for the copy, again, you usually just need short copy with a catchy hook and an explanation of why this free resource is so great. A lot of times these things sell themselves. So those are the first two. The last one is the sales retargeting ads. These are great, especially if you're running the other two or running one of the other two, or if you already have like a large audience, so like a large following or a large email list, these can work great. If you don't have that, that's why you need to be running one of the other two ads for these to kind of work. Because what happens is this is where we are going to go in and set our targeting. And we set it using what I call, and what a lot of ads people will call, your warm chat. So in Facebook, you can set up what's called custom audiences, which means they are audiences only specific to you. You can do website visitors. You can do your email list. You can target your email list with Facebook ads. You would export your email list as a CSV and upload it into the Facebook Ads Manager audience section. And they'll take the names and the emails and match them with Facebook profiles, and then your ad will get served to them. So I didn't write out the warm stack here, so I just want to make sure that I explain them clearly. It was website visitors, email list, Facebook and Instagram followers, so you can create that as a specific audience. And then Facebook, this is the biggest one, Facebook and Instagram engagers. So anyone who's engaged with any of your content, even clicking like this see more button, like that counts as engagement. Clicking to your opt-in page but not opting in, that counts as engagement. Liking your post, commenting on your post, visiting your profile because they see it and they visit your profile, that all counts as engagement, which is why this can work well if you're running the other two ads, because when you're running the other two ads, you're going to get a lot of people, a lot of engagement, even if it's not likes and comments, like the typical type of engagement we think of. People clicking things, people clicking see more, people clicking this play button if it doesn't automatically play. Clicking the comments, just like read what people are commenting, like all of that counts as engagement. So when you're running those other ads, you will have enough people to retarget, is basically my point there. And if you're not doing that and you don't have a big audience, then you just don't quite have enough people to retarget. You need at least a couple hundred people in this audience, which you will get a lot more than that if you set up this warm stack. You make all those custom audiences in Facebook and then you list them all out in your targeting options in one ad set, in one audience. So for these, you still don't have to spend too much, $5 to $10 a day, because you're only going to be targeting people who you know are interested or intrigued in you and your business because they've engaged with you in some way, they have visited your website, they have signed up for your email list, they follow you, so on and so forth. With this one, you choose the sales objective, and you're going to send people straight to a TpT product. So I highly recommend doing this for seasonal products because those usually blow up, like, as you guys know. And they've blown up with ads for my clients before, but you can also test it with just a normal everyday product, because what will happen is someone can discover you from your Instagram traffic ad or your blog post ad, click around, and then they kind of know you, and Facebook knows this is a person who's interested in what you do, and then they'll get hit with the sales retargeting ad. So it's just nifty because you don't have to pay to get in front of people who aren't already a part of your audience or interested in what you do. Again, you're going to test different creatives. You can try a reel photo, like the cover photo on your TpT store, anything like that, or on the TpT product, I mean. And same again, you don't need like a long description in your copy. Just make a catchy hook, explain why they need this product, what makes it so great. And then I haven't been talking too much about tracking. I forgot to say it on the last one, so I might go back. But for this, another big question that always comes up is like, how do I know it's working? So for this, it's obviously, are you making more sales than you normally would, right? So you might not be able to track exactly how many sales that you can make, that you're making from the ad. You can a little bit, I'll explain that in a second. But it kind of has to be an average. Like on average, I sell this many in a week, or last year I sold this many of the seasonal product, and then this year I ran the ad and I sold this many. Was it the same? Okay, that didn't really work then. Was it more? Okay, we can probably assume it works. And then I'm sure you guys know in the marketing section of the back end of your TpT store, like you can check what traffic sources are converting, how many clicks you're getting from them. So if you set up what's called a UTM code on your ad, you can track if the ad, and actually it might pull through and say it's a Facebook ad even if you don't have the UTM code. And Teachers Pay Teachers will try and tell Facebook Ads Manager if a purchase was made straight from your Facebook ads. It's just not super accurate. So if you go into the ads manager, you'll be able to see like 5 sales were made straight from this ad. Usually if there's anything tracking, then I'm kind of like, okay, it's working. But if it just says 0, that's when I'm like, okay, this might not be working. Let's try a different reel. Let's try a photo instead. Something like that. So even though it might say 5, it might not mean 5 actual sales. Because it's just like the information getting passed back and forth on the interwebs is just like gets messed up somehow. I cannot even begin to explain how that actually works. But we just know, because it's like if ad manager's saying you made 5 sales and then you didn't even make 5 sales of it altogether, we know that's wrong, right? So know that it tries to track it, but it's not like completely accurate. When it comes to tracking your leads, you can cross-check with for these ads, you can cross-check with your email marketing system, right? Like, hey, ad manager saying we got 10 leads today, and the email marketing system says I actually got 9 submissions today. Okay, that's pretty close. It's like right on. And if you're not promoting the lead magnet anywhere else, you can assume that a lot of it came from Facebook ads. Okay, some notes. Like I said before, all of these campaigns can work together as a powerhouse, but doing just 1 to 2 works too, even though probably the retargeting ads aren't going to work unless you're running one of the other ones as well. Like I said before, there's no best anything when it comes to budget, creative, product to promote, etc. It all comes down to just trying something, and you can do it for cheap. Like I said, some of those are just $1 or $2 a day. And lastly, my advice is always just keep it simple. A lot of times people tend to overcomplicate ads, overcomplicate their content. Just try and pay attention to your numbers. You don't have to be like as on it as I am and being like, well, today is 60-cent leads and yesterday was 51 and our link click-through rate's this and that. It doesn't have to be like that, especially with TpT ads. Like a lot of times, like I said, these things can tend to sell themselves. And it's just a very affordable niche to run ads in. So just try and pay attention to your numbers, keep it simple. And that's about it. I do have a free tech ready checklist for TpT sellers because there is some tech that goes into getting your ad manager set up if you haven't run ads before. So this is a checklist, and anything that has an underline, it comes with a tutorial of how to set it up. I do offer, I don't take like one-to-one clients, but just so you guys know, if you ever are interested in having support getting this set up, I do offer like VIP days where I would set it all up for you in a day or a week, depending on my calendar and my timeline. So if that's something you ever wanted support with. And on Instagram, that's where I mostly hang out. I'm Nicole Eldridge _ads.